In the dusty corners of Moon's salvage yard in Ashford Heights, Virginia, 12-year-old Pearl Jenkins found a beat-up DeLorean that everyone else thought was junk, with a cracked windshield and rusty doors. While rich businessman Maximilian Blackthorne planned a fancy $1 million supercar race to show off wealth and power, Pearl worked quietly to turn the wrecked car into an amazing racing machine using only scrap parts, her mechanical skills, and strong determination. What happened on race day surprised the whole town, humbled the rich elite, and showed that true innovation comes from people brave enough to see possibilities where others see only failure. The morning sun shone across the gravel lot of Jenkins Auto Repair, where Theodore Jenkins wiped his greasy hands on an old blue coverall. The small garage sat on the edge of Ashford Heights, its worn sign creaking in the Virginia breeze. Ted held a final payment notice from the bank, the white paper standing out against the dirt on his hands. "Daddy, you're making that face again," Pearl said, sitting on a pile of old tires, her dark hair in a ponytail. At 12, she could read her father's worries, learn from years of watching him struggle to keep their small business going. Ted tucked the notice away and forced a smile. "Just thinking about Mrs. Henderson's car, sweetheart. Nothing for you to worry about." Pearl jumped down with ease, used to moving around car parts. "The blue Buick with the noise like an angry cat?" she asked. Ted smiled for real this time, amazed by his daughter's knack for spotting car problems by sound alone. While other kids played on phones, Pearl could figure out engine issues just by listening. The shop's bell rang and Lorenzo Riachi walked in, his big frame filling the doorway. Everyone called him Enzo, Ted's best friend from their army days. His tanned face and skilled hands showed years of fixing cars. "Morning, Ted." Pearl, Enzo said, then got serious. "Heard Blackthorne Industries bought Patterson's shop downtown?" Ted's shoulders dropped. Patterson S. Auto had been their biggest rival, but also a key part of the town for 30 years. "Cash deal, they say," Enzo added. "Maximilian Blackthorne came from Richmond to sign the papers. Plans to tear it down for some fancy corporate building." Pearl looked up from cleaning a car part. "Who's Maximilian Blackthorne?" Ted explained carefully. "He's a rich man who owns many businesses. Sometimes rich people buy things just to show they can." "That's not nice," Pearl said honestly. Ted's voice was tired. "No, sweetheart, it's not." A loud engine interrupted them. A shiny silver Mercedes pulled into the lot, looking out of place in their simple garage. A woman in her 70s stepped out, her silver hair neat, wearing a simple but elegant blue dress. She moved with confidence. "Good morning," she said, her voice polished. "I'm Evangeline Worthington. You worked on my grandson's motorcycle last month." Ted stood straighter. "Mrs. Worthington, yes. Sebastian's Kawasaki, how's it running?" "Like a dream, thanks to you," Evangeline replied, looking around the shop with interest. "Sebastian says you treated his bike like it was yours." The moment was broken by the loud roar of 3 sports cars pulling into the lot. A black Lamborghini parked, blocking the entrance. Maximilian Blackthorne stepped out, dressed perfectly, his gray hair neat, his blue eyes cold as he looked at the garage with disdain. 2 younger men followed, driving fancy cars and acting superior. "Theodore Jenkins?" Blackthorne's voice demanded attention. "That's me," Ted replied calmly, though Pearl saw him tense. "I'm Maximilian Blackthorne. I want to buy this property." "I'll pay a fair price." Ted's jaw tightened. "This shop's not for sale. Everything's for sale," Blackthorne said coldly. "It's just about the price. You could move somewhere better suited." Pearl felt angry at his rude tone but stayed quiet as she'd been taught. Evangeline spoke up. "Still trying to buy your way through life, Maximilian?" Blackthorne looked surprised, then annoyed. "Evangeline, I didn't expect you here." "I go where quality work is done," she said coolly. The air grew tense. Blackthorne ignored her and turned to Ted. "I'm not patient. This offer won't last. Also, I'm holding a special race next month for the best cars, to show true automotive excellence." His gaze swept the shop. "You should see what real excellence looks like." He left with his men, their cars roaring loudly. Enzo spat into a bucket. "Pleasant guy." Evangeline looked thoughtful. "Maximilian hasn't changed since school. Still thinks money solves everything." Pearl asked, You knew him? Yes, he was a bully then too, Evangeline said. This race isn't about cars. It's about showing wealth is better than skill, Ted nodded. He wants everyone to know it. Evangeline paused, then said, Pearl, when I was your age, someone taught me the most revolutionary act is refusing to accept things as they are. Pearl felt excited. What do you mean? Evangeline smiled. If someone says money is everything, maybe it's time to prove them wrong. Her words stayed with Pearl, who thought about fixing broken things and seeing potential where others saw junk. 3 days later, Pearl walked to Moon's salvage yard, her mind buzzing. The air smelled of honeysuckle and oil. She told her dad she was at the library, which was partly true, she was researching, but not for school. The salvage yard stretched over 5 acres, a graveyard of old cars. Fitzgerald Moon, who owned it for 40 years, could find value in anything. His fairness and car knowledge made him a local legend. Pearl pushed through the gate, its squeak announcing her. Well, if it isn't Pearl Jenkins? Fitzgerald called from under a 1960s Mustang. At 73, he moved carefully, his coveralls stained, his hands marked by years of work. Hey, Mr. Moon, Pearl said, her shyness gone. Can I look around? Sure, child. Your dad know you're here? He knows I'm researching, she said. Fitzgerald's eyes twinkled. Research, huh? Best car library around? What are you studying? Racing cars, Pearl said. What makes them faster? Heard about Blackthorne's fancy race? Fitzgerald asked. Pearl nodded, surprised he knew. Everyone's talking about it. He's bragging about his $1,000,000 cars. They walked through rows of old cars. Pearl noticed details others missed, rust patterns, modifications, signs of good design. Mr. Moon, can a regular car beat an expensive one? She asked. Fitzgerald sat on an old truck. Depends. I've seen pricey cars break down and old beaters outrun them. The difference is heart, the person who builds it, knows it, loves it. Money buys parts, but not understanding. Pearl thought of her dad's skilled hands. As they turned the corner, she froze. Under a tarp, surrounded by weeds, was a DeLorean. Is that a DeLorean? She whispered. Fitzgerald chuckled. Good eye. Been here 3 years. Last owner messed it up, blew the engine, cracked the frame, gave up. Pearl lifted the tarp. The steel body was scratched but solid, the gull-wing doors crooked but intact. What's wrong with it? She asked. Engine's dead, frames cracked, wiring's a mess, Fitzgerald said. Pearl touched the car, seeing its potential. How much? She asked. It's heavy, needs lots of work, he warned. How much? She insisted. He studied her. Bring your dad. If he agrees, we'll talk price. Pearl smiled brightly. Thank you, Mr. Moon. That evening at dinner, Pearl was quiet, thinking. Daddy, what do you know about DeLoreans? She asked. Ted looked surprised. They were made in the early 80s, cool-looking with gull-wing doors and steel bodies. Tried to be perfect sports cars but had issues and went bankrupt. Why? There's one at Moon's, Pearl said. Mr. Moon said if you think it's okay, we could buy it. Ted paused. Sweetheart, fixing a DeLorean would cost too much money and time. But what if it's about proving something? Pearl said. Blackthorne says only expensive cars are good. I think we can show skill matters more. Ted thought about Blackthorne's rude offer. Okay, tomorrow we'll look at it, no promises. Pearl's face lit up. Saturday morning, they drove to the salvage yard. Fitzgerald showed them the DeLorean. Ted whistled. Definitely a DeLorean. Pearl checked the suspension, then the engine. Where's the frame crack? She asked. Fitzgerald pointed it out. Not too bad, Ted said. Could be welded. Engine's the big problem, needs a full rebuild. For an hour, Ted inspected every part carefully. The bones are good, he said, but it's a huge project. Pearl's hope grew. So we can fix it? Maybe, Ted said. It'll take months and money we don't have. Then Evangeline appeared. Maybe the question is, can you afford not to? She said, I come here often. This car's special. She explained DeLoreans were innovative but failed because the market wasn't ready. Fixing it right could show what's really important in cars. Ted hesitated. We don't have the money. What if money wasn't a problem? Evangeline asked. I believe in your skills and Pearl's talent. I'll pay for the parts to prove Blackthorne wrong. Ted looked at Pearl's hopeful face, then shook Fitzgerald's hand. Let's make a deal. A week later, the DeLorean was in their garage. Ted taught Pearl to document every part they removed. 3 months from now, you won't remember how things fit, he said. Pearl took photos and wrote notes. Enzo helped evenings, lifting heavy parts. On Thursday, Veronica Stone, Pearl's teacher, brought chili and news. Word's out about your project. Virginia Tech's engineering department wants to meet you. Ted frowned. How'd they hear? A newspaper story, Veronica said. Someone's talking to reporters. Just then, loud engines roared outside. Blackthorne walked in with 2 men. Mr. Jenkins, I hear you're entering my race, he said, eyeing the DeLorean. We haven't decided, Ted said. Blackthorne smirked. The paper says your daughter's building a race car to beat Supercars. His lawyer, Richard Sterling, added, This is a private event for top cars only. Pearl spoke up. You mean only expensive cars? The younger man, Tommy, laughed. Kid, these cars cost more than houses. Pearl recognized him. Are you Sebastian Worthington? Tommy looked surprised. You know my grandmother? Blackthorne cut in. This car won't compete with real supercars. Pearl stood firm. Invite us then? The room went quiet. Fine, Blackthorne said. 6 weeks, Ashford Speedway. Show what you've got. The next 2 weeks transformed the garage. People from town helped out. Dr. Felicity Ward, a doctor, cleaned small parts. Sheriff Tobias Grant lifted heavy pieces. Cordelia Frost brought food. Evangeline arrived with a truck full of racing parts. These will make the DeLorean better than ever, she said. Pearl learned about engines, turbochargers, and balance. Tommy showed up one evening, alone. I want to help, he said. I've been around fancy cars but never understood them. You know more than most rich owners. He joined the team, learning as they built. The DeLorean slowly became a sleek, powerful machine, its steel body shining, its engine strong. 2 weeks before the race, a general from the Air Force, Marcus Webb, visited. I'm here because of your engineering, he told Pearl. It's like what we do in the Air Force, solving problems with skill, not just money. He asked about their work, impressed by Pearl's answers. Ever thought about studying engineering? He asked. I'd like to, Pearl said. I could help with that, he replied. The next day, racing officials inspected the DeLorean, looking for rule breaking. Evangeline's paperwork proved everything was legal. They're trying to scare us, Sheriff Grant said. Pearl wasn't rattled. We're ready. Race day came, bright and clear. The speedway was packed with people cheering for Pearl. The supercar teams had fancy setups, but the DeLorean stood proud on its simple trailer. Blackthorne arrived by helicopter, acting superior. This car looks fast, but it's not, he told Pearl. She stayed calm. The track will show. In the first stage, a quarter-mile race, Pearl drove the DeLorean against a McLaren P1. The DeLorean won by 1/10 of a second, shocking everyone. It kept winning, beating a Pagani and a Koenigsegg until the final against Tommy's Porsche. Pearl won again, 10.7 to 10.8 seconds. The crowd went wild. In the road course stage, Pearl drove perfectly, setting a top time of 1 minute 17 seconds and 7 milliseconds, beating million-dollar cars. During practice, a Bugatti tried to pass her unsafely and crashed, proving the DeLorean's skill. The final stage, a 30-minute endurance race, tested reliability. The DeLorean stayed strong while others broke down. Pearl and Tommy raced cleanly, and she won by a second, lapping everyone else. At the awards, Pearl held the trophy high. Blackthorne admitted, You showed excellence isn't about money. It's about skill and heart. Pearl thanked her team in the town. We proved hard work and understanding beat fancy price tags, she said. The crowd cheered, and Pearl knew they'd done more than win a race. They'd shown what a community could do when it believed in possibilities. The DeLorean, once junk, was now a symbol of what skill and heart could achieve. As the sun set, Pearl smiled, knowing they'd changed how people saw excellence.